Sign it, gold digger. The words sliced through the laughter and clinking glasses like a knife. Every conversation at the rehearsal dinner stopped. Every head turned toward me. And suddenly, I understood why my fiancé's mother had insisted on hosting this dinner herself. A thick envelope sat in front of me on the white tablecloth. Inside was a prenuptial agreement. My future mother-in-law, Diane, folded her manicured hands and smiled as if she were offering me dessert instead of humiliation. "Well," she asked. "Go ahead and sign." The private room of the upscale restaurant felt suffocating. Across from me sat my fiancé, Ethan. The man I had loved for 3 years. The man who had promised me that his family's money meant nothing compared to our future together. The man who was now staring at his plate instead of looking at me. That hurt more than Diane's insult. Around the table sat his father, his brother, his sister-in-law, cousins, and family friends. All of them watching. Waiting. Judging. I slowly opened the envelope. Page after page. Paragraph after paragraph. The document wasn't just a prenup. It was a declaration of distrust. If we divorced, I would receive nothing. No matter how many years we stayed married. No matter what sacrifices I made. No matter if I left my career to support Ethan. Nothing. I felt heat creeping into my face. Is this a joke? I asked quietly. Diane laughed. No, dear. It's protection. Protection from what? From women who marry for money. The room became silent again. I looked directly at her. You think that's me? She shrugged. I think my son is worth $30 million. There it was. Not subtle. Not disguised. Just pure contempt. I glanced at Ethan. Say something. He finally looked up. His expression was uneasy. Claire, maybe we should just sign it and move on. The words hit harder than I expected. Move on. As if my dignity were a minor inconvenience. As if being called a gold digger in front of 50 people wasn't worth defending. I swallowed hard. Do you believe I'm after your money? Of course not. Then why do I need to sign this? His silence answered before he did. Diane leaned back smugly. Because if your intentions are pure, you have nothing to fear. A few people nodded. Others looked away. Nobody defended me. Nobody. I looked around the room and suddenly realized something. For 3 years, I had been trying to earn acceptance from people who had already decided who I was. The scholarship girl. The public school teacher. The woman from the wrong side of town. The outsider. No matter what I did, that label would never change. Gold digger. I closed the folder. Then smiled. A real smile. The kind that appears when a puzzle suddenly makes sense. Okay, I said. Diane looked surprised. Okay? I'll sign it. The room relaxed instantly. People smiled. Someone even started clapping. Diane slid a pen toward me. But instead of taking it, I stood. I'll sign it tomorrow. Her smile faded. Why tomorrow? Because I want my attorney to review it first. The room froze again. Attorney. One word. One reaction. Diane's eyes narrowed. You have an attorney? Yes. Why? I smiled. Because that's what responsible adults do before signing legal documents. For the first time that evening, she looked uncertain. I left before anyone could stop me. Ethan followed me into the parking lot. Claire. I turned. He looked frustrated. Why are you making this difficult? I stared at him. Your mother called me a gold digger. She was emotional. In front of 50 people. She just wants to protect the family. And who protects me? He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. That answer was enough. I got into my car and drove away. For most of the night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't call my friends. I simply sat in my apartment staring at the city lights. Thinking. Remembering. Analyzing. By morning, my heartbreak had transformed into clarity. I called my attorney. Then I made another call. One I hadn't planned to make. My grandfather answered on the second ring. Claire? Hi, Grandpa. His voice immediately softened. What's wrong? I told him everything. Every detail. Every insult. Every humiliation. When I finished, there was a long silence. Then he chuckled. Actually chuckled. Grandpa? Sorry, he said. I'm just amazed. Amazed by what? That after all these years, people still think you're poor. I laughed despite myself. Most people didn't know much about my grandfather. That was intentional. They saw an elderly man living quietly on a ranch. They didn't know he had sold a logistics company 20 years earlier for nearly $200 million. They didn't know he owned investments all over the country. And they definitely didn't know that I was his only grandchild. I had never told Ethan's family. Not because I was hiding it. Because it simply never mattered. Or so I thought. Grandpa sighed. What are you going to do? I don't know. Yes, you do. I looked out the window. And realized he was right. I did know. The wedding was scheduled for the next afternoon. 300 guests. Months of planning. Tens of thousands of dollars. And one decision. By noon, I had made it. The ceremony venue buzzed with activity. Flowers. Photographers. Guests arriving. Excitement everywhere. Back in the bridal suite, my phone rang repeatedly. Texts from Ethan. Calls from Diane. Messages from bridesmaids. I ignored them all. At exactly 2 o'clock, the wedding coordinator knocked. It's time. I stood. Adjusted my dress. And walked toward the ceremony. The outdoor garden looked beautiful. White roses lined the aisle. Sunlight filtered through the trees. Hundreds of guests stood as I appeared. At the altar, Ethan smiled nervously. He probably believed everything was fine. That I would sign. That I would forgive. That I would forget. I walked down the aisle slowly. Each step felt strangely peaceful. When I reached him, he whispered, "You look beautiful." I smiled. Thank you. The officiant began speaking. The guests listened. The ceremony progressed. Then came the moment. Do you, Ethan, take Claire to be your lawfully wedded wife? I do. Applause erupted. The officiant turned toward me. And do you, Claire? Before I answer, I said. The crowd became silent. Ethan's face paled. The officiant blinked. Claire? I reached into my bouquet and removed a folded document. Yesterday, your family asked me to sign something. Diane immediately sat upright. Murmurs spread through the guests. I continued. A legal document designed to protect Ethan's assets. Ethan whispered urgently. Claire, stop. No. I looked directly at the crowd. Because there is something everyone here should know. Diane stood. Sit down, I said calmly. To my surprise, she did. I unfolded the paper. This is not a prenup. The audience watched silently. This is a financial disclosure prepared by my attorney. Ethan stared. Confused. So did everyone else. I smiled. Apparently we're concerned about gold diggers. The crowd shifted uncomfortably. My grandfather's estate currently exceeds $180 million. Gasps exploded across the garden. Diane's face turned white. Ethan looked like he had been struck by lightning. I continued. My trusts, investments, and inherited assets significantly exceed Ethan's net worth. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The silence was deafening. I never mentioned this because I believed love wasn't a business transaction. I looked directly at Ethan. But apparently your family disagrees. Diane jumped to her feet. This is ridiculous. Is it? You lied. No. You never asked. She looked furious. Desperate. Humiliated. Exactly how I had felt. I continued. So my attorney prepared a different prenup. I handed a copy to Ethan. His hands trembled. If protecting assets is so important, this agreement protects mine. The guests stared openly now. Whispers filled the air. Ethan scanned the pages. His eyes widened. Claire. Go ahead. His voice cracked. You own all this? Yes. Why didn't you tell me? The question broke something inside me. Not because of what he asked. Because of when he asked it. Not when he proposed. Not during 3 years together. Not when discussing our future. Only after learning I was wealthier than him. I looked at him sadly. You should have asked yesterday whether I was hurt. You should have defended me yesterday. His shoulders slumped. I know. No, I said softly. You don't. The garden remained silent. Every guest waiting. Every camera recording. Every truth exposed. I took a deep breath. Then turned to the officiant. Thank you for your time. Ethan's eyes widened. Claire? I removed my engagement ring. The crowd gasped again. I'm not marrying someone who stays silent while I'm humiliated. His face collapsed. Please. Yesterday wasn't about money. Tears filled his eyes. It was about respect. I placed the ring into his hand. And you chose comfort over respect. For a moment, nobody moved. Not Ethan. Not Diane. Not the guests. I stepped away from the altar. The wedding dress swayed around me as I walked. One step. Then another. Then another. Behind me, chaos erupted. Voices. Arguments. Shouting. But I didn't turn around. I had spent years trying to earn acceptance. Trying to prove my worth. Trying to convince people I belonged. And suddenly I understood something important. People who truly value you don't require proof. They don't test your loyalty through humiliation. They don't measure your intentions with contracts disguised as insults. And they certainly don't stay silent while others tear you down. 3 months later, I sat on my grandfather's porch watching the sunset. Life felt different. Lighter. Healthier. Peaceful. The scandal from the wedding had spread everywhere. Friends told me videos of the ceremony had accumulated millions of views online. Diane became famous for all the wrong reasons. Ethan tried contacting me dozens of times. I never responded. Not because I hated him. Because some lessons arrived too late. Grandpa handed me a cup of coffee. Any regrets? I thought for a moment. Then smiled. Only one. What's that? I should have walked away sooner. He laughed. Fair enough. The horizon glowed gold as the sun dipped lower. For the first time in years, there were no expectations hanging over me. No judgment. No performance. No need to prove anything. Just freedom. And that freedom felt worth more than every dollar either family possessed. Because money can buy comfort. Money can buy houses. Money can buy influence. But respect? Respect is priceless. And once someone shows you they don't have any for you, the most valuable thing you can do is walk away before signing anything at all.